Hello, everyone. Welcome to our research workshop. I'm very pleased to be part of this workshop, especially since the credit truly goes to Alex. This was entirely his initiative. He developed the plan, he created even the flyer, and I love this topic. I think it's a very exciting topic. I think it's very timely, and I always value the opportunity to discuss research possibilities for both faculty and students. And I think scholarly activity is very important and plays an important role in any higher ed institution. I love to see these resources that we have being discussed and shared with us. And I'm very grateful to Alex for the initiative, for the preparation, and for the willingness to lead the effort. Thank you very much. And Alex, I'll turn it over
Y-
to you.
All right, thank you very much, Lavinia. I'm very pleased to do this. I love doing academic research, and I love talking about it because I feel like Sherlock Holmes, finding clues all the time. And I always tell students that don't think of it as this kind of boring academic pursuit, like kind of a old world thing. Just think of yourself as Sherlock Holmes. You need to find some information, and you have all these resources, and it's fun. So just it's like a friend of mine's uncle is a Buddhist monk, and he said in the beginning, uh, how am I going to spend my time? It's so boring. But then he decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to just love what I do, even if it's boring, and everything changes right away. So anyway, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. So this is a two-part workshop. Today we'll introduce you to those of you who know and those of you who don't. It's good to re-cement it of the basics of academic research and how to approach it, how to come up with the right keywords. I'll introduce you briefly to Boolean operators. I know it sounds scary, but they're just basically connectors, connecting keywords and key phrases, and we'll delve more into that tomorrow at the same time. But we'll talk about it a little bit today. So tomorrow I'll concentrate on advanced searching. Okay, so this is for more advanced, and we actually, I'll be surprised. You'll be surprised. We have a lot of students who know a lot more than we think they do, and they start getting into even subject searching and many other type of searching. So it's for them and for faculty who are doing serious research. So we'll delve into advanced searching of our databases and of our discovery system, which is called Primo. And I'll also introduce you to Google syntax and Google Scholar way of searching. And we'll talk about naturally, we'll talk about AI and how to use AI to come up with the right keywords, how to use AI professionally and responsibly, and which AI programs and platforms to use. Okay, so those are the two the days that this is what's on tap for those 2 days. Today, I want to start with, let me start sharing and I'll open up my PowerPoint. I want to start with AI, like kind of a preface to educational technology. I know that some of you, some students say, now why in the world would you uh, talk about academic research in the age of AI when AI is in the house? And I got to say that I'm not a Luddite. Those of you who know me know that aside from having a degree in information technology and library science, I also have a certificate in educational technology. So I'm always trying to be on the cutting edge of technology and education. So I'm not talking badly about AI, quite the opposite. I think we need to use it, but I think we need to use it responsibly. And a lot of people simply don't know how to use it. And one of the important points about AI is that there's such thing as AI hallucination. Not everything we get from AI is correct. In fact, I can give you an example. Uh, I went to see this movie called The Stranger, based on Albert Camus' novella. And before that, 2 weeks before that, we had our first meeting for the SFC film club, and we discussed Stranger Than Paradise. And I wanted to compare my my notes on the theme for Stranger Than Paradise with AIs. And AI that I prefer to use for academic research is Perplexity.ai, which I did a session on before, and we'll definitely delve into it tomorrow. Um, so I said, compare my themes, and I listed my themes with your themes. What do you think the themes are in Stranger Than Paradise? And Perplexity AI, which offers citations and very responsible, gave me all the themes for the stranger. They just grab the first word. Now, if I hadn't known or be familiar with the novel The Stranger by Albert Camus, and I hadn't seen the film, I would just say, okay, great. Those are the themes for The Stranger in Paradise. And if I were the instructor, this is what they would have given me, right? And I said, wait a minute, stop again. This is wrong, right? I said, oh, my bad. You're right. It's wrong. I gave you the themes for The Stranger, not Stranger Than Paradise. Okay. And so now it proceeded to give me the correct information. But if I hadn't been familiar with that, I would have been lost and I would have turned in the wrong paper or the wrong information to the instructor. Right. Same goes for a lot of stuff on the internet too, online. Some of the things that we find online, and AI searches everything online. AI cannot get into proprietary databases. Okay, like Perplexity, for example, it searches everything online that's available to it. But databases that we pay up to $10,000 a year for are certainly not available to it. It's not gonna go past the security, so to speak, there, right? It's not gonna get into it. So it's gonna give you only the information that's available for free. Okay, and sure, there are citations, but if you know anything about SEO and know how to game Google, those people who are bad actors, quote unquote, and they're trying to sell their products and using some information just to get Google's clicks and Google spiders to index, they end up at the top of the Google search. I know this game because, well, I don't play it, but I know it because my wife does her business online. And I used to actually do SEO for her, but it's gotten so complicated now that we had to hire a company to do this for us. Anyway, to make a long story short, you got to be really, really careful when you use AI. And I'm totally for using AI, but properly. That is why we need human touch. Okay, so I have a friend who is a researcher, who's a social work professor at one of the CUNY colleges, and he compares AI or human touch with AI to a conductor conducting an orchestra. So in the orchestra, you have all these musicians who know their instrument really well and know the score really well. Why do we have a conductor if they know how to play? We still need a conductor. Every orchestra has a conductor, right? Because the conductor is able to control everything, bring everything together, create certain harmony. So I think that we shouldn't just say AI is terrible, terrible. I'm not going to use it. We have no choice. It's going to be here. Okay. It's going to take over our lives. So we need to learn how to use it before it starts using us. So this famous phrase from computer science, garbage in, garbage out. If you use the wrong information, you put in the wrong information, you'll get the wrong information back. Because there's no human being sitting there and trying to analyze your information. These all robots trained on human creations, right? So, as you see in my first slide on my PowerPoint presentation, AI is fast, AI is helpful, but AI is not always right. Human judgment is still essential. And I think that it may change in the next 10 years, but I'm pretty sure that you still need to put in something in order to get proper results. Okay. By the way, if you have any questions, you can always stop me and ask a question, but I'll make sure that we have about 10 minutes or 15 minutes at the end of the session to ask questions. So fabricated citations, and I've seen it before. I've tested it. Not always. 90% of the time it's correct, but sometimes it gives you the wrong information. And you got to be really careful about it. You got to constantly cross-check it. Sometimes AI summaries in search tools can be misleading. Okay, so the example I said here, I already gave you the example of that. There are many other examples. What's interesting though is that now they have AI tools like Pengram, which I use. Okay, that's a tool to detect whether the paper has been written by AI or not. 90% of the time it's accurate, but not always. Very often it's not accurate. When 10% is a lot, then it's not accurate. And so when you say it's not accurate, then you're accusing someone to use AI when they didn't. So when professors use Pengram, they got to be really careful, because students may just have written really good sentences, and AI says if it's written well and if it's got a certain cadence, then it's got to be written by AI, but it's not true. So we're really in a difficult situation right now. We cannot stop using AI, but when we use AI, we got to be really careful how it's used. Anyway, so that's on AI. So let's start our research or our session. Number one, about you can see my slides, right? Number one, that about academic research is to use the CRAP test and make sure you spell it correctly. Otherwise, you're going to get a different result. So it's CRAAP. Okay, it stands for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. Okay, and let me just open one of the documents here that I prepared and read to you what this CRAP test, how you translate it. Okay, so currency, keep it in mind, it has to be current. If you go to a site, let's say when you're using library databases, you're swimming in a safe environment because everything's been chosen for you by information specialists, librarian, and researchers. If you go onto the web, including using AI, you got to be careful how to evaluate these pages. So the scrap test is for web pages, okay, not AI authenticated, verified sites. Currency stands for what is current, not currency, money currency, right? But obviously what is current? Is it current? If it's not current, you got to be really careful about using it. Even if it's say something about Shakespeare, let's say you go to a site and it looks very authentic, and maybe it's part of an educational institution. But if it's not been updated in the last several years, it might have been hijacked by scammers using that site to attract individuals and then try to sell a product on that site or on that page, right? So people say, well, it doesn't matter if it's Shakespeare or we're doing research on literature. It really doesn't matter, because it doesn't age. When we do research in AI or technology or, you know, sciences or nursing or medical sciences, it has to be current, obviously. But this is one of the examples. Very often people hijack sites and use it to get Google traction, to get ranked in Google, and then they'll try to sell you. I've seen students come, wonderful, look at this site, it comes from this and this and that, and that site hasn't been updated in a while, and then that it's like your email. If you haven't touched your email in a while, rest assured that somebody stole it, and somebody's going to use it to hit somebody up with it. So you got to either delete it or you need to update it with passwords and everything else. Okay, relevance. It has to be relevant. Relevance means how to use sources for specific research questions. So just because you're getting information from it or you're getting good, responses from a site doesn't mean it's relevant to you. You'll end up spending 2, 3, 4 hours just chasing your own tail. You got to make sure you're using the right resources, whether or sites for that matter. So for example, a general encyclopedia entry may help you start, but it not may be strong enough for a college paper. In fact, most professors, and especially in graduate school, do not allow encyclopedias as part of the research, right? Because that's not a standard scholarly resource. Authority, who created the source? You have to know who is behind it. If there's no one behind it, if you see no person authoring it, be very, very careful. Unless you know the person who's doing it and they're doing it in a certain way, maybe it's part of a certain, like I've seen pages on MIT Media Lab, right? Where, there are pages that don't have an author per page, but you still have to circle back and go back and find who the author is. If you don't know who the author is, be very careful. It's like swimming in infested waters. You may lose your limbs metaphorically if you don't do it properly. Okay, so that's authority. You got to know who's behind it, who wrote it, and when. So currency, authority, accuracy. Is this information correct? A student came to the library but several years ago, and she found the site and she wrote this really good paper. It was economics, political economy. And it turns out that it was just total nonsense. And I'm not an economist. I did not know. It sounded great, but she got it from a blog of somebody who was selling a video, so was doing video games, and they needed to use academic information to attract Google spiders and have other sites basically linked to that site so it gets ranked. If it gets ranked, you get advertisements on your site. That's how you make money. There are tons of people sitting there in basements in the middle of middle America somewhere, making lots of money doing this stuff. And so you got to be really, really careful. Accuracy, currency, authority, and then purpose. Okay, so purpose means, why was a source created? Was a source created to sell you some cheap perfume and just give you some ideas on it? Or was a source created to give you some information and knowledge? Where does it come from? When it comes from verifiable, authoritative library databases, then you know that source was created by academics, researchers, and that's why we pay for it. Because who wants to spend so much time and money creating and cataloging it when nobody's going to pay you for it? So that's why when people say information needs to be free, I'm all for it. But who's going to pay the people who catalog all that free information? Who's going to pay all the people who find it and call it and put it together and organize it, right? So that's why these databases cost money. Okay, so again, to remember, use CRAP test. 2, A, currency, B, relevance, C, authority, D, accuracy, and E, purpose. So that stands for CRAP. So just remember that word, and whenever you do it, with your students, or do it for yourself, or do it for your own research, those are the basic questions to ask. Otherwise, you're just gonna get hammered by someone say, "Hey, listen, this is wrong. And it hasn't been said, or this is, where'd you get this information?" You always have to be prepared to say, "I found this information here." Even if it's incorrect information, at least it's not you who made it up. You got it from a site, you made a mistake. Otherwise, it's like this Ben Lerner. I don't know if you remember who he is. He was really a star reporter, got a job at the New Yorker, wrote several books. Proust was a neuroscientist, and many, many others. In one of the books, Imagine, he misquoted Bob Dylan. Not just misquoted, he created a quote. And the quote was close enough, but it was not the exact quote. And he said it was the exact quote. And somebody found out that he lied. Just made it up, lost his job with the New Yorker, lost his job everywhere, completely got canceled. Now he's trying to get back, but it's almost impossible. Just on that alone. So any questions about any of this? No? Okay, so now let me share my screen. Those of you who don't know, library.sfc.edu no longer works because now we're called Multimedia Learning Hub. Okay, so you need to go to MLH, Multimedia Learning Hub, sfc.edu. Okay, and you go to our website, library website. Library website is not on the college server, slightly different. I'm not going to go into all the things we have in the library right now because you can do it on your own, because otherwise we won't have enough time. But what I want to do though is a couple of things. Number one is that I want to tell you that either you or your students, when you start your research, there are a couple of links that you need to be aware of. Under research, one link is Research Hub, and the other important link is Research Guides. Okay, so for Research Hub is for students who are not familiar with research, and it helps them choose a topic, find sources, scholarly publication, primary sources, how to evaluate sources. We talked about it already, a crap test, and citations and plagiarism. Okay, under Research Guides, we have multiple guides on how to use databases, how to do research, etc. Under Help, we also have video tutorials similar to what this will be. Okay, so we have video tutorials. So if you go to say Primo is the name of our public facing catalog. You don't have to know that, but it's just, we call it Primo, and that's what it's called, from Ex Libris group, which we subscribe to and buy this resources from. So we have tons and tons of information here on Primo, and there's also multiple videos on how to use keywords and phrases, how to add keywords, how to use search operators, etc. Multiple videos. So please avail yourself of this. Okay. Let's go to do some research. So when to use Primo, which is our Google-like search box here, and when to use individual databases. So as you know, we have about 47 databases that cover pretty much all the subjects. And you can search these databases from here, from the Primo and Alma site. Okay, so when to use this and when to use individual databases, basic knowledge. If you want some general information and search all of the databases at once, you do it here, right? It's like snorkeling, if you like snorkeling. If you want to do a deep sea dive, you want to use individual databases to go more granular. Also, individual databases have many more search operators that you can use. Will make it much more advanced for you, and we'll get into all of that tomorrow. But let's do a basic search. Let's say you're on our site. If you know what you're searching for, let's say you know what source you're searching for. Let's say you're searching for articles and journals only. If somebody's doing a 2-page paper or a 3-page paper, they probably wouldn't want a book. If they're doing a thesis, graduating thesis, and they're doing 35 or 40-page paper, they may want a book. Okay, so if you're not sure what source to use, so we can use articles, books and media, textbooks, or everything, including everything we subscribe to and everything we have physically here in the library. Okay, so if you're not sure, you keep it at everything and then just start searching. So for example, what to do is climate change. Okay, let's just assume that unless you want to suggest a keyword or key phrase, I'll be happy to follow. So we'll put climate change. Hit enter. Okay, and this is what we get. Keep in mind also, it's really important that you avail yourself of the left sidebar. The left sidebar is your friend. This is where you limit and narrow your search, right? So we are getting now for climate change 2,050,216 results. Unless you have like a lot of time, nobody's going to go through every single result there, right? So how do we narrow our search? As I said before, your left sidebar is your friend. This is where you do your eliminations. This is where you work. Okay. Now, the easiest way to limit the number of hits that you get is to put climate change in quotation marks. We still have a lot, but we have half the number of the hits we got before, right? Because when you search climate change in quotation marks, you're looking for the entire phrase as opposed to climate and change. So whenever you, without quotation marks, whenever you put two words, and that goes for Google, by the way, too, but especially academic research databases, the engine here and in Google assumes the Boolean operator and in between every word. And later on, we'll talk about how to use those operators, maybe tomorrow, how to use those operators. They all have to be in caps. If you use and not in caps, it'll assume it's a word as part of the search. So if you do something like this, you have to do it like this. It has to be in capitalized letters. Okay, so without it, it works the same way. I like to use it anyway, so I'm just, it's consistent with my search, because there are also words like or and not, which we'll also talk about tomorrow and use tomorrow. Okay, so when you do climate change as a phrase, then you get fewer results. Then you can go down the panel here in the left sidebar and choose the resource type. Let's say you want only articles, because we'd search everything. If you click on only articles, you get 570,000. Now that's not 2 million. That's still a lot, but it's not 2 million. And then you go and you do a creation date. Keep in mind that creation date is not the date that they talk about in a particular article. It's the date when the journal or article in the journal was published. Okay, so you can easily do it here by changing the date and say you want to be as current as possible. You put 2001, and that's the last 5 years. You click on refine. Okay, well, these are the last 5 years anyway. If you want to change the subject, say you want physical sciences, or you want climate change only from climate change journals. You click on climate change, and now you get 58,000. Okay. Now, the best way to bring it down to, say, a few thousand, even hundreds, is to add another keyword, right? What would be the keyword for climate change that we may want to add? Does anyone want to volunteer?
Alex, I think you need to have space and end, right?
We don't need end here because we're using the phrase.
Oh, you're using phrase.
You're using the phrase. So you want end only if you want each word to be searched.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right? So if I were doing this, climate change and, I don't know, natural gas, let's just say, or coal, like that. I would do it like that, right? So then we have fewer results. Climate change and coal. So it searches climate change first, because that, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow. I don't want to get too deep into this now. Climate change first because it's in quotation marks. Somebody's trying to, I think it's Ken. And coal. Now, and is not necessary here, because and is always assumed, right? And L is always there. It's a default. I use it because to be consistent, but you don't have to. However, if you were to use not or, that's another operator. Let's say or coal. Then you must have that Boolean operator between the phrases. Okay, so see, now we have 3 million, because when you use or, it searches either climate change or coal. Right? And again, we will talk more about it tomorrow. I'll get into, there'll be no prefaces and discussions in the beginning. There's another Boolean operator. It's called not, something you have to be familiar with. Okay, you can also use it in Google, except in Google it's a, and we'll talk about Google searches tomorrow too. With Google, it's just a minus sign. So if you say climate change, not coal, you're searching for climate change as a phrase, meaning that only the articles that have climate change exactly the way you typed it here in the phrase will appear. If the word climate appears and climate change does not appear, that article won't come up. Okay, change, same here. So climate change as a phrase, and then not coal. So none of the articles will have the word coal in it. Okay, so most of them don't have coal in it anyway. So yeah, so none of the articles will have coal. And once you add a phrase or a keyword or change anything here, you have to rerun the search. So here we go back to articles again. Okay, and then here, if you want subject, we have to go to climate, etc. We can also add, say, we want climate change, coal, United States. And then we want, you see everything got reset because we added a keyword. So you have to go here and change it to, say, the latest articles, say 2023, or sorry, 2023 to 2026, last 3 years. Okay, click on search. And now we got 23,000 results. Now it's still a lot because climate change is probably the most popular phrase in any search anywhere. Okay, so we with climate change, we need to add more keywords or key phrases in order to bring down the number of searches. Okay, this is just a taste today. I'm going to give you, I gave you, because tomorrow we're going to go deeper into all of this, and I'll explain Boolean operators in more detail. Now, Lavinia said that we should talk about the databases that we have, and let's do that. I want to introduce you to the databases that we have. So as I said before, you can search all of the databases at once right here on the MLH homepage, right? But again, it's like snorkeling. You search them, but not too deeply. If you need just basic information, you're a beginner researcher, or you know exactly what you're searching for, you can use this. It's easy. However, if you want to go deeper, more granular, and you know your subject, and you want to go find much more academic papers, peer-reviewed papers, you want then to use individual databases. And to get to individual databases, you click on research, you click on databases A to Z, okay? And then we have all of the databases with the descriptions of each database. So there are very important flagship databases that we have that are known as multidisciplinary databases, okay? They are ProQuest Essentials, JSTOR, that consists of 15 different databases. It covers all of the humanities, a lot of the sciences, and psychology majors, sociology majors, criminal justice majors. They all use this. So if you know your database, you simply click on the letter and go straight to, here's Business Essentials. Now this is ProQuest. So with ProQuest, we have a ProQuest Central Essentials, we have Dissertation and Thesis, we have ProQuest eBook Central as well, and many others. So the best way to find out what databases we have is just to go to this page and read the descriptions of each database. There are 4 or 5 sentence descriptions. Very easy. Another way to know what we have and for which subject is, as I said before, you go on to research, you click on research guides, okay? And let's say, for example, your specialty is computer science, okay? You put computer, one word is enough, just computer, and you get all of the research guides and the pages from those research guides in the computer science. So a guide we created called Computer Science and Cybersecurity. Okay, and it's got lots and lots of pages here. It'll cover the entire, or what you need for your research, the entire field of computer science and cybersecurity. But if you're looking for specific databases, you click on databases, and we suggest these major databases. Okay. Now, we haven't implemented the program yet, but we also have a ProQuest dissertation and thesis database that also covers a lot of computer science and IT topics, right? So Advanced Technologies and Computer Science Collection is our flagship database for that particular field. ProQuest Central Essentials is also, it consists of ProQuest Central Essentials is an aggregator consisting of 12 different databases, which you search at once. One of them is a computer science database, okay? And there are Gale databases also. So this is another way to find out what we have. You simply click on Gale databases, and it'll take you to our site, and it'll show you which databases we have. Okay, and then you can choose which ones you need. Same goes for ProQuest Central Essentials. If you click on this, okay, you will search all of those databases at once. But if you want to choose a specific database, you click on Change Databases right here, and you get all of the databases we subscribe to. See all of the databases that are marked with a check mark in a greenish color, all of these databases we subscribe. You can say, you know what, I just want to search science databases only. You can just uncheck all of that like this and just search science. Or you simply search all of them and then sift it. Then again, your job as a researcher is to find fewer articles, fewer journals, and be as narrow and focused as possible. So whatever works, that means putting quotation marks around phrases. That means adding keywords and key phrases. That means limiting the number of articles you get by using the limiters in the left sidebar. And if you're stuck, that also means asking a librarian on call. That's what we do. That's what we're here for, right? So we get a lot of questions via our 24-hour chat. We have a 24-hour chat that, when we're not even here, we have librarians on call who take our calls for us. And if they can't answer, then they send us an email and we respond to the people who reached out. Okay, so we're always here for you. Any questions, guys? We got 10 minutes. We'll take questions. If you want to do a search, let me see if I can. Let me go back to my PowerPoint presentation because now I'm sharing it. Can you see it?
Yes.
Excellent. So we covered this. So keywords and key phrases. We didn't talk about that. Start broad, right? You want to go from going wide to narrow. Unless you're an experienced researcher, then you can do whatever you want, right? But usually you want to tell your students to start broad. In other words, open up with a phrase and never put in a sentence, right? You can do that later on. We'll talk about it tomorrow with AI, and AI will find the right keywords for you. But you don't want to put complete sentences in a search box because most of those words are stop words that the engine ignores. So that hence keywords. You want to find essential keywords without which what you're getting as results is not relevant, right? So if you're searching for climate change, obviously climate change would be the phrase. But then if you have other keywords that you want to use to be more specific and more narrow, then you have to figure out what are they, right? So the biggest and the hardest part of any research, especially academic research, is to come up with the keywords. Everything else is easy. The right keywords, remember I said in the beginning, garbage in, garbage out. You use the wrong keywords, you get the wrong information. Keywords essential, keywords, key phrases, and how to combine them. Start broad, then use specifics, then try variations, then try to use synonyms, and that's also where AI is good. Give me a synonym for the phrase climate change, right? Greenhouse effect, or global warming. Those are the synonyms, and many more that AI come up with. So if you use AI responsibly and correctly, it's a great tool. Also a thesaurus. Now we'll use that tomorrow. How to use thesaurus, or thesauri, I should say, in using or searching individual databases. When to use quotes, and I will share all of this with Lavinia. Well, in fact, I think I already have, Lavinia, right? These PowerPoint presentations. So if any of you is interested in accessing them, we have them for you. And we talked about these Boolean operators. I call them connectors because Boolean operators sounds too highfalutin, and a lot of people just get really nervous. Boolean operator, what's that? It's math, it's computer science, I'm not interested. So just connectors. And narrows results. If you use and, if you add keywords, you'll get fewer results with every keyword you add, right? Because you're asking the engine to find all of these words in one article, right? If you use or, you'll get many more results. So if you're not sure exactly, what you want to find, either this or that, then you get lots of results, because or brings more results. Not eliminate certain words. I just recently did a library instruction for a class. They were doing a paper on Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. They were writing it for a writing class. And some of them didn't even know who these people were, because it was so long ago for them, for young kids or young students. And one of them said, I want to find information on Bill Clinton, but I don't want any mention of Monica Lewinsky, because everything I find's got Monica Lewinsky in it. I don't want it. And so that's where not comes in. So if you say Bill Clinton, president, say not Monica Lewinsky. None of the articles will have any mention of Monica Lewinsky. So this is really important. Now, when we talk about advanced searching tomorrow, and I'll show you our advanced search screen, it'll be easier to use because they'll have fields, and you don't have to know how to use these Boolean operators, these connectors, because each field will have its own. You just need to change it. And it'll be, in a sense, the advanced search is easier to use than a basic search, because with a basic search, you need to know how to properly combine it. Okay. This is a slide on searching academic databases, how to apply filters. We'll talk about all tomorrow, and tomorrow we'll go straight into searching. So we're not gonna do much theory. We'll do a lot of practice tomorrow. How to use, we have about a few minutes, right? Does anyone have any questions? If you have questions, Lavinia, maybe you can see hands, digital hands raised. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If not, I'll just tell you a few things to know that a lot of people get scared by long articles. And I always tell students that that's what the abstracts are for. They're the summaries for the articles. You think all the researchers are going to read all those 255-page articles that they find 50, 60 articles? Of course not. They read the abstract, and they realize they decide whether they want to read the rest of the article or not. And even if they decide to read the rest of the article, they can choose sections of the article they need to read. That's mindful research. You don't need to read everything. That's just a waste of time. And then, of course, you need to cite your sources. Okay. We have a page on our website that deals with that. Okay. Of course, if you do, for you personally, if you're as faculty doing serious research in your field, of course, of all those citation managers that you can access, but the best one, in my opinion, and free, is Zotero. It's from Firefox. It's a fantastic citation manager, and there is a bit of a learning curve, but if you learn how to use it, it'll simplify your life to the nth degree. So if you have a lot of, citations that you need to use, how to format them properly, how to find them, and how to save them as you search the web and our databases. That's a good one. And if you have questions about Zotero, you can reach out to me and I'll show you how to install it, how to use it, and how to make it part of your research. Any questions, folks? Now we'll also talk about Perplexity AI and Consensus AI, which I did a presentation on. I think the best AI platform to use for research is Perplexity. Not only because you can choose different modes like Claude and GPT and others, but also because it gives you citations. It searches the web, actively searches the web, and provides citations for you, so you know where that information came from, right? Because when it searches the web, it searches blogs, wikis, and all the things that people put up online, and you don't know where it comes from. So if you want to cite something, you got to know where it came from. It may not be appropriate. It may not be verifiable. It may not be authenticated. It's really important to first of all be aware that AI is not always going to give you the right information, and second, to know how to use it. Okay, so to recap real fast, this is our research workflow. Define your topic. Okay, you need to know what your topic is before you start researching, or you can search for a topic. That's fine too. But before you start going deep into your research, you got to know what you're searching for. Otherwise, you'll waste a lot of time. Then you build your keywords. You don't have to be online for that. Ask yourself, which keywords do I need in order to get the right information? And then add them. But start general first, and then slowly add them and see how the number of entries gets smaller and smaller and smaller. Research databases. We talked about it before. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Evaluate and read. How to evaluate web pages, to use the CRAP test. You know that. You don't need to evaluate library databases because that's already been evaluated for you. That's the reason we have them. That's the reason we pay for them. You don't need to waste your time on evaluating that. It's already been done. It's already verified and authenticated. And you got to cite your sources. So those are the 5 stages of research. Before we say goodbye for today, I hope to see you tomorrow too.
Just 1 second,
yeah.
Joshua, I think, just a second, Alex, before
Sure,
we finish. Joshua had a question.
Of course. I have that all the time in the world today. So if you want to stay on, please. Joshua, go ahead.
Where's my mute? There it is. It's okay. It was actually pertaining back to search operators and sources. That how do you it's more of a technical question around
Go ahead, it's okay.
Isolating time periods. I know a lot of, like you mentioned, Perplexity only has information up to a certain date of its training, etc. So if you're looking for sources that are between like X date, something published between X and Y, maybe there's further operators that you can use, but we can get into that later.
When we talk about Google searching tomorrow, I will show you a bunch of Google syntaxes, operators in Google, that 95% of the people in academia don't know about. I try to introduce students to them all the time, and very often when I do my library instruction sessions, some professors ask me to do 2 or 3 sessions, so we can get, because it's not enough time to do it in 1 session. So when I come back, I get into Google operators, and you can actually do it there in Google. You're absolutely right that Perplexity is trained a certain way, and there's up to a point, so it's not always, unless you have, or also with ChatGPT, if you're using a free model or free version, you're not getting the latest model, right? So the latest models will probably have the latest the date range of what you're looking for.
Thank you,
I mean, I mentioned this before when I was doing the session on Perplexity and Consensus. Perplexity, I don't know if it still does. I hope it does. I got Perplexity Pro without paying for it because I'm part of an educational institution. So if you I'll look at it. If you reach out to Perplexity and see if they still offer it, and I can do it for you if you want to reach out to me. I can do it for you and see if they still do it. So if you're an instructor at .edu or a student, they can give you, or they used to give you, a year for free to test it. And that's what I have right now, Perplexity Pro, where I can choose later models of Claude, later models of ChatGPT, later models of Perplexity, a proprietary AI model, right? And it usually is pretty current, right? Like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the session that I wanted some information on Stranger Than Paradise, and it gave me on the Stranger. And the Stranger, the film, just came out like maybe a week ago, like exactly a week ago, and it already gave me full information on the Stranger. So it's up to speed. And again, it depends what model you use, what version you're using.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about it tomorrow. And a great way to use Perplexity is to use it to find the right keywords for you. So if you say, I'm doing my research on, say, cloud computing and whatever in IT, and I'm doing my paper on this particular topic, and I'm really not sure which keywords and key phrases to use, appropriate key phrases to use, so I'll get relevant results and narrow results. And Perplexity could do that for you, and all the others too. That's one good way to use ChatGPT. Of course, when you use it to write your paper, that, I mean, that's a whole other thing. That's, you get slapped on the wrist. Any other questions?
Last minute questions, but also it seems the conversation will continue tomorrow. We still have a lot to talk about.
Sorry about the glitch there in my getting lost in online maze, but hopefully it won't happen tomorrow. And
no
I thank you all for joining, and I hope to see you tomorrow at 2:00, and we'll go deeper, wider, and I guess become more enlightened when we're done.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
So what I want to do today, and by the way, I have notes. If any of you want my notes, because there will be covering a lot of information today, and there's a lot of search strategies. I'm perfectly happy to share my notes with you and all the PowerPoint presentations. So just let me know, and I'll be happy to send it to you. And I can send it to also to Lavinia, and she can do it as well. Okay. Example query: cloud computing, in quotation marks, and security, right? We'll search for cloud computing as a phrase. So cloud alone without computing is not going to come up. Cloud computing as a phrase in exactly the way you typed it, cloud and computing, not computing cloud. It has to be in that order, in quotation marks, and security. And again, as I said yesterday, and is optional. The word and is optional because all of the databases and Google uses and as a default connector. But it's a good practice to use and so you understand what you're doing. I always use and, you don't have to, but I always do. Or and not, however, you have to use, but and is by default. So cloud computing and security will search for cloud computing as a phrase. That phrase has to be somewhere at least once in the article, in the title, or in the text, right? Unless we specify that it has to be in the title, and we'll deal with that a little later. And then security. So cloud computing is a phrase, and security has to be in the article, or it won't come up. Okay, so that's how you limit and narrow your search. Now you can also do, say, Siamese cats in quotation marks, and wild dogs in quotation marks. Then it will search for phrases, right? But it'll search for both. So if and narrows your topic, then or broadens your topic. So just keep that in mind, okay? Then there's also an operator called not. In Google, when we get to talk about Google searching, in Google, as I mentioned yesterday, it's a minus sign. But in the databases, most of the library databases, not just in the school, any library database or any database, academic research database, uses the word not. N-O-T, again, in caps only. That, what it does, it excludes a subtopic. So, for example, not too long ago, a student came into the library and she was looking for Indian music, okay, Indian classical music, okay, and she did not want to include Indian American, even though it's not the appropriate term anymore. Some of the old articles still use Indian American or American Indian, excuse me, American Indian, right? She didn't want to use to go into American Indian music, right? She only wanted East Indian music. So the operator not was crucial for her. It eliminated tons and tons of stuff that she would have to sift through and spend a lot of time on if she did not use that operator. Okay. So let's do a simple query. So as I said before, I said yesterday, best way to, or at least the starting way to do your research, unless you know your databases really well and you experience search, you can go straight to a database, is to use our site. So on our site, when you search on our site, mlh.sfc.edu, you search all of our databases at the same time. You skim them all at the same time. You don't go very, very deep, but you deep enough to get all of the results. And I'll show you how to use the advanced search as well. So for example, if we were to use, let's go with cloud computing for now. Cloud computing and security and not virtualization, for example, right? It'll look like this. Let's say we're looking for articles only. So I'll click on articles. If you're not sure, you can get everything. But if you know you're only looking for articles, then it's always better to do it that way so you have fewer results. Your job as a researcher, right, is to get fewer results, not more. But they have to be relevant results, obviously. And that's where what I'm teaching you today comes into play. Keep it at articles, and then let's just say cloud computing. We want the phrase in quotation marks, right? And security, not virtualization. Okay, so the word virtualization, we're not talking about the concept here. We're only talking about the word. If you don't want the word virtualization to appear anywhere, or for example, you're searching for jaguars, right? The animals, not cars. You would have jaguars and then not cars. And that cars will be completely eliminated. So if we click on search, okay, we have 38,000 results. Now we're getting so many results because cloud computing is really, really popular. Okay, we have tons and tons of articles on cloud computing, and it just shows the most popular key phrase, right? So this is what you get. The word will appear nowhere, or should appear nowhere, in the article with that search. This is the way to do it. And another way to do it, and this is, you can move closer, Ken, if you like. Yeah. Yeah, of course, not a problem. Sorry. Yeah. I have a class at 3. Yeah. That's great. So if we go to advanced search, this is what we talked about. Sometimes advanced search is even more easier to use than a beginning search, because you have fields, and each of the fields are connected with the connector, with the Boolean operator, right? So if we go to advanced search, right, and we'll just get rid of this for now. So search profile, we'll use articles. You can choose whatever you want here, but we'll choose article. We click on advanced search, right? So look at the fields, and we can add another field if we need to. See, they're automatically connected by the operator and. So if we go to and say cloud computing. Now, I always put quotation marks here anyway, even though if you click on contains, you can have contains in each exact phrase. In this case, you don't really need to put quotation marks because you're using this, right? But I do it anyway, just the habit and good practice, I think. Then we say and security, right? So any field, could be any field, could be in the title, could be in a subject, could be in a course instructor. We don't want to use that. Could be any field. Contains. Each phrase starts with or just contains that phrase. So we put security. And then here we choose change our operator and we say not. Okay, and we're gonna exclude the virtualization, right? So we're gonna put virtualization. Okay, so now we have this. It's the same thing we did in the basic search, except in the basic search you actually have to type in your Boolean operators, and here you don't have to do that. Here each field is connected with them. You see, and or not. You can just do that. So in a sense, it's easier, and you can always add a new line if you need to add more keywords. Okay.
And
now,
Alex,
yeah.
if you don't mind, there's a question before you move on from that. There's a question Joshua is asking
Joshua, go ahead. Sure.
on the chat. Joshua, do you want to just unmute yourself and ask, or read the chat if you prefer?
I think it's already been answered. I was asking it in the previous screen. You went on to this screen, and I can see from the some of the descriptors and arguments it contains. So I believe it's any piece of the article, not just the title.
Well, contains is actually where that word or phrase appears. So it contains in the article, anywhere in the article.
In the article, not just title.
Anywhere in the entire article. Doesn't have to be in the title unless you specify, and I'll show it to you. So contains anywhere in the article, contains as exact phrase if you're using a phrase. It's the same thing as putting quotation marks around the phrase if you're using a basic search, right?
But that's still in the body of the article as well, not just the name of the article.
Right. It could be in the title, it could be in the body, anywhere. In the subject terms, anywhere at all, right? If you go here in any field and say subject in a title or any field, right? So if you choose the title here, right, then virtualization has to or not appear in a title. If you change it here to, let's say, and, then we want any field here and any field for any other term, right? Any field, but in virtualization, see any field here, and the title for virtualization.
And those are conditional ands. There's not an or there, so it could be. It has to have that.
These are conditional ands. In other words, if you use and, that means that phrase has to appear with all the other phrases. So if only one of these phrases appear, only one of these, and this phrase doesn't appear, the article wouldn't come up.
Gotcha.
And means inclusive. And means shortening or you narrowing your search, right?
Perfect, thanks.
Exactly, it's like a Venn diagram, right? Now here on the right, you can also choose certain things, like for example, items. We already chose it here, right? So, this is something we already chose. Language. Some people, we have tons of different languages here. Look, Chinese, Arabic, Russian, Spanish, Swedish. You can choose it. Now, you're not going to have a lot of articles in those languages, but you will have some. Like we have almost 30,000 eBooks in various different languages, going from Polish to Arabic to Romanian to Russian, tons. Obviously, we wanted here English, so we... these are limiters, right? We choose. Now, we can also choose the date, start date. For, usually that's what professors want, and we already know that for anything to do with technology, anything to do with allied health or nursing, we want to be as current as possible. If you do Shakespeare, critical studies of Shakespeare from 200 years ago are just as valid as they are today, even more valid probably, right? But if you're doing something or chemistry or math or computers and nursing, you want to be as current as possible because information changes so fast and all the time. So you want to change your date. So you can say, for example, just say 1, and usually it's 5 years. Sometimes you want to go on cloud computing or AI. You want to be as current as possible. So you want to go, the last year. But most of the time, it's 5 years. So we can just say the year to 2020, say 3, okay? And then we can do just for, for ease of access, 1, 1, and then 2026. Okay, so before you start the search, look at what you're asking. You're asking the engine or this database to have an exact phrase for cloud computing and security, contains anywhere, right? And virtualization. Now, I'm going to just change it here to any field. I'll tell you why. Because first I want to run a search. And if we get lots and lots of results, then I go ahead and limit it to title. Otherwise, if I limit it to title, we may get no results. And then people get scared. Oh my God, this is not what I want to do. So we go wide first and then we start narrowing. Okay, so let's run a search. Okay, we got 141 results. Remember we had 33,000 results before? With all of these, let me just see if I can go back to criteria to modify. Yeah, so this is what you click on in order to see your search box. Okay, so with all of these criteria, and limiting it to the past 3 years, choosing English and limiting it to articles, all those are called limiters, right? You click on search and you get 100 and you get 141 results. Now you can further limit it to, if you want. We talked about yesterday. We talked about looking at the left sidebar. Consider it your friend. That's where the limiters are. So in the left sidebar, because articles here include articles from newspapers also. If you click on articles here in the left sidebar, these are only scholarly or academic articles, right? So we click on this. Then if you want to limit it even further, and most of the time you see that they're mostly peer reviewed, but not all. This is open access. So if you want peer reviewed articles only, you click on peer reviewed and you limit it further. Now you have 57 articles and that's perfect, right? Now you're able to go through each abstract and see whether you want to continue or not. So your job as a researcher is to obviously use relevant keywords and key phrases, use relevant limiters, and try to get it down to about 50 or so. If if it's too few, it's not good enough either, because you're not really working with it. 57 is good. So if we were to, and all of them are peer reviewed. You see it says peer reviewed right here? All of them are peer reviewed. By the way, if you ever get lost in this, you can always come to the library and I'll be happy to sit down with you and just go over the same thing again and share my notes too. So it sounds much more complicated than it actually is. It's actually quite simple. You just need to grasp a few basic things. That's all. And as I always say to the students, if you learn how to drive a car, especially in New York, you can drive it anywhere. And that's basically like driving a car. It's like learning how to, you can just, any database you go to from New York going to Cleveland and you drive, same rules apply, So any questions about any of this? Right, so this is, we looked at advanced search, we looked at the simple search is here. So this is the same thing, right? We connected these keywords with Boolean operators. Now, and by the way, here you can also, whenever you use a filter, you'll see those filters here. Keep in mind that whenever you add a keyword or change anything at all in your search, those filters disappear. So you need to again apply those filters. Otherwise, you'll say, wait a minute, why am I having so many results right now? And I had like 57 before. You got to go through those filters again. Okay.
And Alex, before you move on, Esther has her hand up.
Yes, Esther.
Thank you, Alex. I just have a question. What is the difference between using the limiter and or using the limiter or? Because we used it yesterday.
Right. So let me talk about it again. So the limiter and, what it does is it narrows the topic. Okay, so when you have cats and dogs, you're looking for articles, books, or anything online that has those two words in the title or any article or anywhere in the subject headings. Okay? Those two words must appear or the articles won't come up. If you're using or, you're broadening your topic. So if you use cats or dogs, then the engine will look for all the articles with cats in them, and then all the articles with dogs in them. They don't have to be together, right? So if you're not sure what you're looking for, or is a good thing, but keep in mind that when you use or, you'll have many, many more results than and. Okay, so if you're not sure what you're searching for, you're still trying to figure out what your topic is, or is a good thing to use. But then when you figure out what your topic is, you're narrowing your topic is key, because otherwise you're going to drown, literally drown in information and articles.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, of course. So now let's go to a database. So I mentioned before that when you search here on our site, mlh.ssc.edu, you have advanced search and a beginner, simple search, etc. But it searches all of our databases at once. It's like snorkeling in a way. You don't go really deep enough pretty much for all of you to do your research, including advanced research. But if you really, really want to drill down and go down to the bottom of the ocean and choose like really, really exotic fish and harpoon them, sorry, complicated metaphors, you want to go to specific databases, okay? So let's go to our home, and then since we've used IT a lot, let's use one of our very, very popular programs. We recently implemented last year a certificate. It's post-baccalaureate medical certificate. And we have a lot of questions in our chat boxes, and students come because they're doing their papers asking us for help with research there. So one of the most popular, and I must say most expensive databases, this database is over $13,000 a year, just one license for 1 year. It's called Sinal Complete, and it's probably the flagship database, a gold standard for nursing students, for medical students. It's used in medical schools all over the world. It's a great database. So let's go there. How do we find it? If we know the name of your database, you'd go to research right here on the left, click down on research, you click to databases A to Z, and you click on C for Sinal. Okay, so Sinal Complete is this database. Waiting for it to load. Okay, and here it is. It's from EBSCOhost. EBSCO is a huge aggregator, and Sinal is part of that. And you know that you're searching Sinal Complete, so you know what you're searching. Okay, and it's like in the advanced search in Primo. You also have fields, and you also can add a row right here. So if you have more keywords or key phrases, you're adding them. Keep in mind, though, that when you use and you add keywords and key phrases, you're asking the engine or asking the database to search for all of those words. So don't be surprised if you get 0 results, right? In that case, just remove some of the, remove the field, right? So delete row. And then if you need to delete another, well, here you got 2 rows. But if you add a row, you can certainly delete a row if too many rows, or delete the keywords. Empty row does not interfere with your search. Okay, so let's try another search here. This is with mental health and college students. So a student came like last week. The topic, she's doing a paper on mental health on college campuses. Okay, what keywords do we need to use? Obviously, mental health is a key phrase. College students, we decided college students is better than campuses, but you can use campuses too. So let's try mental health and college students. So this is what we tried with her. Instead of using mental health as a phrase, we tried that too. We found out that we're getting better results if we use mental as one word and health as a separate word in a different field, okay? And Here, we're using college students as a phrase, right? So, like this. Okay. So what does it do? Remember, if we're not using mental health as a phrase, it searches for mental separately, health separately, because she was looking for all of those variants, right? And then college students. So she was looking for mental health and health separately. If you put mental health as in quotation marks as a phrase, it'll search only for mental health. But she was interested in both. So using a phrase, using quotation marks around a phrase is not always beneficial if you depends what you're looking for. So if you're looking for, so let's see what we got here. Now you can limit your search to full text. Okay. You can limit your search to English language only. You can limit your search to peer reviews. Okay. Research article. You see in individual databases, you have a lot of limiters as well. Publication date, all dates. No, she didn't want all dates. She wanted as recent as possible. So we chose, instead of past 10 years or 5 years, we chose past 12 months. Okay, now, if you know the author and you're looking for a specific article, you can plug in the author's name here. If you know your publication or the name of the journal, you plug it in there. Clinical queries, well, we didn't touch this one. Journal subset, you can go as biomedical if you want, or whatever. You can do whatever. There's tons and tons of age groups. You can choose age groups. You can infants or 6 to 12, or in our case we chose adults. Okay, and then we click on search. Okay, and now let's just see, got it. We got 274 results. Okay, and we basically found that, and you see all of our keywords and key phrases are now, when you use mental health without quotation marks, it'll also appear as a phrase, by the way, right? But it'll also appear separately mental and separately health. So you'll get many, many more. If you want to, so how many did we get? We got 274. What if we do, you see this mental and health? We used advanced search, but it shows us how these words are combined. If we do this, we remove the word and search for the phrase, exact phrase only. So we have mental health and college students, two phrases connected. Both of these phrases have to appear somewhere in the article, not necessarily in the title. Okay, because when we go to advanced search, it'll show to the title. Okay, so we click on this. We still have 261 results because most of the health on college campuses are mental health. Okay, so in this case, let's go to advanced search. Okay, let's remove this. And in advanced search is always easier. I always prefer advanced search anyway. So you go to, let's say we go to mental health as a phrase. Okay, and here we use it in title. You can use it in abstract. You can use it anywhere. If you're discerning and experienced researcher, you can use it anywhere you like, this particular phrase. But in our case, we'll use it in the title, TI. Okay, so mental health has to appear in the title. It can appear anywhere in the article, but it also has to appear in the title. If it doesn't appear in the title, you're not going to get that article. Okay, so that's how you limit the number of hits you get to. That's one of the best ways to limit, by adding keywords with and by limiting the keywords or key phrases to a certain place in the article, like the title, for example. So here we'll put college students. Now we can also separate and say college and students, but let's just students as a phrase. Okay, So now we have mental health in the title, college students anywhere would be in the title, because if we use mental health and college students both in the title, I'm afraid you're going to get 0 results, because you ask in the article to have those phrases in the title of the article. That's too much to ask, right? But not always. Some you play with it a little bit. College students as a phrase can appear anywhere. So now we'll search, and we're still limited to full text. We're still limited to English language, peer-reviewed, and research articles. Okay, let's search. Okay, we have 91 now. You see, every single one of these articles have the word. Now, some of them college students do have mental health. Now, since you already saw that there's college students also appear in the title, we can then and put this in a title as well, because we know that some of them do appear. Search. Results. So now we have each phrase, mental health as a phrase, college student as a phrase, all of them appear in the title. And one of the reasons to have it appear in a title is so you know what the article is about right away. You don't even have to read the abstract. You can see that your keywords are already in the title. You know, and also, of course, it limits the number of hits you get. That's a really great way to limit it. Any questions about this before we go to Google Scholar? Like I said, I'll share all of my notes that I'm talking about today, all of this with Lavinia, and she can share it with you if you're interested. Because I think that there's a bit of a learning curve to learn this stuff, but once you learn it, I think Joshua has a question, right? Joshua, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. That was just.
Was from before. No worries.
Accident button. Yep.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, I think there's a learning curve, like I said, but it'll take you, I don't know, half an hour to learn all of these concepts, but then you'll save so much time finding the right sources, you know, because we see students in a library like basically driving themselves crazy because they're not sure what to search for. They're getting tons and tons of articles. Finally, they give up. They use Google. Sometimes they use unauthenticated, unverified sources, and they get reprimanded by their instructors, and they're frustrated. So learning this is key. And if you learn it yourself, you can also have us come to your class and do the same type of presentation. Or if you want, you just tell your students what you know, and they'll be very appreciative and happy to learn that. All right. So because we don't have much time, let's go to Google Scholar for a second. Okay. So Google Scholar, instead of searching it online, where to find Google Scholar, all you do is scholar.google.com. But same goes with all of the other subsets of Google. So if you're looking for Google Gemini, for example, the AI, right? You go gemini.google.com or whatever. So Google Scholar, scholar.google.com. Okay, so Google Scholar is Google's attempt to provide researchers with academic and scholarly articles. However, the difference between Google Scholar and what we offer is that when you find an article in Google Scholar, not always, sometimes there are exceptions, but most of the time, you find that it takes you to the publisher's page where you have to pay for the article. Okay, so if you find a free article, great. Google Scholar most of the time works as an index. It tells you that there's an article that you need to purchase. However, what I'm going to show you how to do is how to connect our library with Google Scholar, so that way you can search Google Scholar and see if we have that article. Then you can find that article on it's free for you on our site. So this is how you connect. When you're on campus, you don't have to worry about it because you're an IP. It automatically connects to St. Francis College, right? If you're at home, each browser has to be connected, but only once. Once you connect your browser, that's it. You don't have to worry about it again, right? So let's say you're using Chrome. I'm using Chrome right now. You go to the 3 dots, it's called dashes here, 3 dashes. They're called action row, right? You click on these 3 dashes, and you click on settings. It says My Library. That's not what we're doing. My Library is the library within Google Scholar. You don't want to confuse SFC library with that. So you need to click on settings. In the settings, you need to click on library links. Our library with Google Scholar a while back. Click on library links, and you can see that once you're on campus, you can see all of these are connected. If you at home and you don't have Chrome connected, basically what you do is just put SFC or St. Francis College. Try to do all of the different versions, right? And it'll give you this. Right now, it's all connected here, but you can put St. Francis College and SFC or SFC library. You can put SFC library like this, right? See what comes up. Just check them all, okay? Once you check them all, be sure to click on save, because if you don't click on save, you're not going to get it saved. Again, like I said, you do it only once, your browser is not connected to Google Scholar. Click on save, and now we can do the same thing. So we can search, let's say search for the same thing, mental health, it offers you different suggestions here, but let's just say with college students, let's just stick with that. Let's just say the word college, never mind students for a second, okay? So we were searching for this exact phrase and the word college, okay? Case law, we don't want case law. We want articles, it says right here, right? Click on search. Okay, and as you can see over here, some of them are available at SFC Library because we connected our library to it. Not all of them, not all of them. This, for example, is University of Michigan EDU, right? Now, if you click on this, by the way, if you're searching, if you want to click on the article and bring it up, don't click on this here, on the article. Click on the links available on the right. So if it's available at SFC, sometimes the articles are not available because they get either canceled or they lose, like this one, for example, okay? This article is not available. They lost the license for this article. It happens occasionally. So you just need to go back and find the ones that are available. Let's say you want to get one from University of Michigan. Sometimes they make it publicly available. Most of the time they're behind a paywall. So if you click, well, this one happens to be available. Okay, so this is the advantage of using Google Scholar, but don't use Google Scholar to start your research. Use it later. When you can't find relevant articles in our databases, then go to Google Scholar. Because if you searched for this particular article in our databases, you probably wouldn't find it because it's not available. You saw that it's not available in our, but you found it here. That's one of the ways to broaden your research and your research skills. Let me see if this one is available from full text online. This is a 360 link that connects. It's loading. I'm just waiting for it to load. Sometimes it takes a while, depending on the internet connection of the publisher as well. No, the site can't be reached for some reason. It's timed out. Let's go back for a second. Let's try this. Yep. Okay, this one is available. Okay, now you can find this article also using our databases, but if you're already in Google Scholar, it'll connect to the article that's we have available. But like I said, sometimes other college libraries and government institutions they allow their articles to be available online, and so you avail yourself of that possibility of choosing something we don't have access to. Okay, that's of course, yes, Ken, go ahead.
So people can link to up to 5 libraries this way, and one that's useful around here is the New York Public Library.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. So you can definitely click, link to other libraries, as Ken suggested, and up to 5 libraries, and then you can just see what's available. That's great. Yeah, I've only been, using our library, but that's actually a great suggestion. So you can do that. Yeah. All right. Any questions about Google Scholar? And then we can go, we have 15 minutes left. We can go to Google because that's where the real fun begins. Because a lot of you probably don't know how to use syntaxes in Google. Just plain Google, not even Scholar, plain Google. You can actually find real articles in Google. And once you learn how to use these syntaxes or these search terms, you'll be able to use it for anything, not just research. Any questions? Lavinia, you let me know if there are any questions because I don't see any hands.
Nothing so far. Thank you.
Okay, great. So let's go to plain Google. Here we have under research guides on our site, we have instructions on how to use the syntaxes. But like I said, I'm going to share this with Lavinia, and these are all good examples. So this is how you search Google. There is an advanced search in Google too, but it's easier to use this search. Just you have to remember certain operators. So for example, if I'm searching for mental health, and by the way, quotation marks work in Google too. So if you want to look for a phrase, you can use it in Google as well. So mental health, college. Okay, so in this case, we're searching for college and for students separately. So we could have students from high schools as well. Okay. So this is just the basics. Okay, let me just show you what we get. I'm not going to use mode right for now. I'll just search. Okay. It used to be, Google used to show you how many hits you got. But now you have to click on tools to see. So you see over here, 433 million results. Million. Who's got the time, right? So, and just because it appears, thank you, Ken. Just because it appears in the first 10 hits, that doesn't mean that they're most relevant. That just means that either people know how to game Google or they're the most powerful articles, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're most relevant to you. So that's another thing to keep in mind. You want to have as few as possible. So we'll get there. Okay. So what if I do this? What if I put important in title, just one word, in title, colon, no spaces. Now this is really, really important, guys. If you put a space between in title and the colon after in title and the word, it'll treat it as a search word. No spaces, that's crucial. So there's no space after colon and mental health. In this case, it'll ask Google to put mental health in the title, right? So only the articles with mental health in the title will come up. It can also appear in the text, no problem, but it's got to appear in the title. So if we click on search, you see now we have 10 million results. Still a hell of a lot, but more than 300 million. Oh, sorry, less than 300 million, right? So just putting the word in title, okay? If we put college students in quotation marks, and by the way, if you want to use this in title too, the in title is not for both phrases. It's only for the first phrase. So if you want to use in title for college students as well and have mental health like we did before and college students in title, then you have to put in title here as well. Also colon, no spaces. Okay. Now we have 7,600 results. Oh, sorry, 7,600,000 results. Okay, again, better than 10 million, but still a lot. So that tells you that there are a lot of articles on Google that have mental health and college students as two phrases in its database. Here's another trick. We put after colon 2025. Actually, you know what? Let me try something else first. Let me try. This is going to limit it severely. So we used so far in title, right? Then, if you want to get articles from, say, educational institutions only, or from the military institutions only, or from the government institutions only, and not deal with the rest of the web, which are, much more verifiable and authenticated. Let's just go with educational institutions only. We'll put site, colon, again, no spaces, .edu. Okay, so any institution that's educational institution, only they can get .edu, the domain name. You can get .org, .com, .tv, whatever, .ai, but you got to prove that you're an educational institution to have .edu. Okay, so now you're limiting your search to only educational institutions. We click on search. Okay, and now we have 1,730 results. Remember that we started with 300 million, and now we have 1,730. Still a lot, but we can do something about it. How about this? If you say you only want the articles in PDF, just as an example, right? You can limit, or docs or PPT or anything you want. Click on search. Okay. We got 284 results. Okay. When did you get last time you got 284 results on Google? You usually get billions of results, right? This is what you do. And you're not just limiting something to get fewer results. You're limiting it to get fewer results for your relevant keywords, for exactly what you need. So we have mental health and college students in the title. Look at this: mental health, college students, mental health, college students. It may also be in the body of the article or the website, but we got to have this, otherwise it won't come up. Then we say site only from educational institutions, and if you look at them, you will see that this is research goostown.edu. This is from. It has to be in the top level domain. Okay, so this is jhu.edu. This is Campbell. So all of them .edu. You can also have .gov and have all the government institutions, right? Let's see what we get if we get it from .gov. If we get any of these. Okay, we got 38 results. So educational institution, because we're dealing with college and students, obviously have more articles about that. The government has college students mental health, college student mental health, but they're all from .gov. Okay, so that's the best way to make sure that when you search Google, you're not getting a blog from some fella that's sitting somewhere in Alabama in his basement and putting a lot of stuff online and knows how to game Google and knows how to do SEO, search engine optimization, right? You're not getting it from them. You limiting it to, more or less. Of course, there are a lot of crazy people in education as well, and they may have a blog on college, and you may not agree with what they're saying, but at least you know that it's coming from some suitable place. Okay, so that's how you would go about searching Google if you're looking for verifiable sources. Any questions about this?
I think Joshua had a remark.
Joshua, go ahead. Yeah.
No question, just a comment statement. I posted in the chat. There's another. It's like if you can't remember some of the operator names, like in title and before then, there is a kind of a graphical interface to use. It's you might be a little limited by it, but I just posted that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And also, of course, you can also find it on Google, and you also can find it right here. Let me just go to our website, our library website. If you go to research and you click on research guides, and here you click, it says advanced Google. We can simply put Google right here. Okay, and you see advanced Google. Google search. Matt did this, and we have all of those operators right here too. And it's not just in title, and it's not just in text. You know, you can go around, you can go cache, you can go in URL. Now, in URL is very similar to site. I prefer site because it's more accurate. Stocks, etc. There's also another operator or syntax or search term called. Let's go back to that. It's okay. Google, I just lost this. There's another one after and before. It doesn't always work well, unfortunately. And by the way, Google does not, you know, it's not as strict and it's not as accurate with Boolean operators as our library databases are. So there's certain parentheses sometimes you can use to prefer this search first and this search later. I mean, it's even more complicated. And if you guys are interested in a third session, I'll be happy to do that. This is like for really serious researchers who want to like go really through the bottom of the ocean, okay? Let me show you something here. Remember yesterday I mentioned Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky? So this is what we did with a student. We did Bill Clinton in Google, right? Bill Clinton. Because, you know, Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, there are no academic articles written about it. I mean, there may be few, but it's much more popular search. So instead of using library databases, then you go to Google, but search it properly. So Bill Clinton, and then minus. It just helped me spell her last name properly. I think it's like this, right? If I remember correctly. And then you click on search. Okay. Oh yeah, maybe I didn't. Oh, I didn't spell her name properly. Okay, so it's like this then. Monica Lewinsky, like this. Okay, so all of these articles will not. There's no mention of Monica Lewinsky at all if you don't want her there. Same thing with search terms. You can say, for example, like in title, health. Then students. Okay, minus college. So we have students, high school students, middle school students, or pupils, whatever, but that's another synonym that you can use, minus college. Okay, and then let me just see how we got 63 million still. So we got mental health and students somewhere, like here, for example, because we didn't specify to have students in the we can put in title students. Okay, and now we have fewer results, but no college. Okay, so it's just keep in mind that let me just keep in mind that no spaces after in title, after the colon, no spaces. Okay. Because if you have a space, then it'll treat it differently. Okay, so I think, you know, a few things to remember here, but not that much. Now, finally, what I want to do is, let me just, I meant to show you how to use Perplexity to find, we have a few minutes left, how to find the keywords that you want. So for example, let's go to Perplexity. And you guys should, I checked, you folks should avail yourself of Perplexity's introductory offer for educators and students, because they give you a trial for a year. And after that, I believe for college students or educators, it's only $8 a month. And Perplexity is great because in Perplexity, look at this, you can see my screen, right? Under the model, if you click, you can choose various models here. So you can choose Claude, you can choose Gemini, that's from Google, right? GPT-4, it may not be the latest model, GPT 5.5 is, but it's late enough, it's in 2025. And then a Sonar is Perplexity's latest in-house model. So you can use either one of those. So let's just go to Gemini for now. It's also pro with thinking. So if we put, say, here, when you do your when you create your looking for keywords and put in your keywords in library databases or in Google, you want to put individual keywords or key phrases and pare it down to that. Don't put complete sentences because it's going to be ignored. You're going to choke the engine. But here you can. Here you can just talk to Perplexity. So again, in my opinion, less is always more in research and most things in life, not all, but most. So if you say college research or college paper research, find appropriate keywords for mental health on college campuses, say. Okay, and then just click on this. It's searching everything. Now, because we have pro thinking, it takes longer because it's actually going deeper, much deeper and more accurate than just basic search, right? And because it's academic research, you want it to be accurate. That's one of the reasons to invest in pro, because when you use free, you're not going to get latest models, you're not going to get thinking. Okay, and it gives you Boolean strings, as we talked about. It gives you mental health and college students. We already use that, and gives you various possibilities. For example, even gives you the subject heading from the Library of Congress for MM, which is MM is for mental health. So if you're really advanced researcher, you can use subject headings like that. I mean, you don't need to know all of that, but you can. So it gives you different university students, for example. Instead of college students, you can have university students. So it gives you different possibilities. So this is a great way to use an AI model to create, because finding the right keyword is key. Like we talked about it yesterday, garbage in, garbage out, right? You find the right keywords, you're good. So that's a great way to use Perplexity, or you can use ChatGPT, say, I'm looking for this, give me good keywords for that. But you got to be really precise what you're looking for, because it's going to give you wrong keywords. You're going to plug in the wrong keywords. You're going to get the wrong information. It's going to be like chasing your own tail again. So think about what you want to say even to this AI model. Any questions? I think we're out of time, but I'm happy to stay longer, guys, if you want. Any questions?
I think Esther has one in the chat.
Yeah,
Esther, do you want
Esther.
to unmute yourself?
Yes. How do we have the library site as part of the apps, Microsoft apps for the school, or you have to go to Google to get
No,
it?
you don't need to Microsoft app for the school. You don't need that because our library site is on a different server.
Okay.
And one of the reasons we wanted to be on a different server a while back, we've had it for several years now, is so you don't have to sometimes get stuck logging in. Okay, so this is how you go to the library site. I mentioned this before, but MLH, so the library is called now Multimedia Learning Hub, mlh.sfc.edu. Okay, and it's available 24/7, because some of the sites that you go through Microsoft apps or you go through college, some of them undergo maintenance, like in the middle of the night. Yeah. And one of the reasons we wanted to go to a different server and pay for it separately is because lots of students do their research in the middle of the night, and some of them used to hit this problem with maintenance, right? And say, well, at 2:30 in the morning, this is when I do my research. The college, we used to be on a college site, on a college server. Maintenance, I can't do my research. So that's why we went, and they do their research in a different way, so it's always available to you. Okay, so that's mlh.sfc.edu. You go here, all of it is available to you. We have tons and tons of resources here. Interlibrary loan. If we don't have something, whether it's a book or an article, we can get it for you for free via interlibrary loan, and lots of professors and instructors use the service. It takes about a week to get it, and you get it for 30 days, right? And we have lots of professors who use it all the time. Students can use it too.
I just logged in, as you said, and it says subscribe or sign in. What does that mean?
You don't need to click on log in. You mean here?
No, I just put it in Google, mlh.edu, and it gave me, says subscribe or sign in.
No, you probably clicked on something else. Go to MLH. You don't need to put www or any of that. Go to MLH,
right.
mlh.sfc.edu. Click.
Okay.
And you may have to clear
the okay. Yeah, you're right.
on your browser, okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Right. So
there's
no signing in. The only reason you want to sign in or log in here is if you want to see what your library activity is. If you have books out, when they're due, etc., but you don't need to do any of that. This is our hours, by the way. By the way, you can tell your students and know yourself that starting next Wednesday, we're going to be open until 7 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. because of the finals. So we're going to be open for a week until 7 p.m. And if you want to come in and search and take computers out, whatever, we have that. One last thing, guys, if you have the time, I just want to show you where to find eBooks. So you can search for our ebook, simply clicking on books and media, and search it straight from here. So for example, if you like biology, we have lots of books on biology. Okay, you see a book available online. Book available online. You can also go here and click, instead of available in the library in the left sidebar, click on available online. So all of these books have 13,000 books with the word biology somewhere in a title or in the record, anywhere in the record, right? All you have to do is click on available online, and it's going to ask you to, even you're on campus for some reason for this one, so I'll just sign in as myself, and you have to worry about the number appearing on your phone. You don't have to authenticate it. Go straight here, and you can download the book. You can read it online. If you want to read it online, just click on read it online. Just scroll through. We can do many, many different things here. We have very good tutorial guide on how to use this. You can also start. Last year, we ProQuest, from where we get the books, came out with a great app, mobile app, that allows you to read your books offline in the app. Okay, and if you go here, I know that a lot of people are signing off because we're out of time, but if you to research guides, actually even better, you go to services. No, sorry, borrow and requests. My bad. Borrow and request. You click on eBooks right here. It'll show you how to find eBooks, and here it'll show you how to connect and download the eBook Central app, which I created a year ago. It's a video tutorial on how to do this. Okay, so it's very, very simple. Really, really great stuff. You can download up to 25 books on your device. You can read them offline. When the books, you can usually get them for 14 days. If the book expires, you can immediately resubscribe to that book. And the great thing about it is that you're not preventing anybody from reading the book. Most of those books are multi-user licenses. We have over 800,000 of them. And you can, 10, 20, 100 people can read them at the same time. That's the advantage of reading an ebook over a print book. Any questions, guys, before we say goodbye?
I think Joshua just answered his own question, and unfortunately we're out of time, but we know how to contact Alex. Thank you so much for such a comprehensive presentation. Absolutely, and so informative.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and we'll be in touch with you. Feel free to email me or email directly Alex with more questions, and we'll be happy to do episode 3 if it's such a popular topic.
We can go further if you want. Absolutely.
Thank
you.
Guys.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy
the rest of your week, and thank you for joining. Take care. Bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.